You're listening to the Manning Up on Real Estate podcast with your host, Cameron Manning. We bring you the industry experts each episode who will help you man up on your real estate career. All right, welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Manning Up on Real Estate podcast. I am your host, Cameron Manning, and we're coming to you guys today again with another excellent guest here. I'm really excited because we've been talking a lot on these podcasts with people, specializing on like Instagram and, even TikTok, but I'm bringing you someone today who has a specialty teaching people how to grow on YouTube. I'm really excited. He's coming out he's coming out from Texas today to join us on the podcast. So help me welcome Jaime Resendiz. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much. I'm excited. Appreciate the opportunity and the invitation to be on.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. I mean, we had some great chats over the last, close to a year now on different rooms on Clubhouse. And then you and I kind of kicked it up the other week. And I think that you come with a bit of a unique background here to understand how you got into this YouTube space. I was looking a little bit over your bio and things like that, getting to know you better. But I figure the best way we can do is actually have you kind of take us through who are you and how did you lead to getting into real estate, first of all, and then we'll talk about YouTube afterwards.
Yeah, no, so I appreciate it. My name is Jaime Resendiz, and I am an agent here out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I got into real estate by accident. And what I mean by that is when I left my previous career, which I was the COO of a network of compounding pharmacies. So we distributed medications all across the United States. So basically it's healthcare. So think of do you have CVS's and Walgreens and things up there?
Yeah, we've got that, Rexall, a few other ones.
Very much like that, except we mix medication. So that's what compounding pharmacies is. That's the number one question that I get. But basically just think healthcare. So I was in charge of operations and all that fun stuff. When I took my exit from the pharmacies, though, I immediately opened up a business brokerage. So helped business owners buy businesses and sell businesses. What I didn't realize at the time was that I needed a real estate license in order to participate in the commission of a commercial deal.
All right.
From the business broker's perspective, believe it or not, you don't need a license to help a business owner sell their business. You don't need an attorney license or be an attorney, be an accountant or whatever. But the one thing you do need if you're going to participate in commercial is a real estate license. So that's how I actually ended up getting into real estate altogether, to better practice the business brokerage part, or else I would only be able to sell the business, not the commercial. So that's how I got into the industry altogether.
Got it. So you're looking, because a lot of people, they've bought their location, they've built their business, and it's a great value add when you can say, hey, you can buy the business and the location all in one. So I like that you said, got into it by accident, because, great to sell the business, but if they want to buy that commercial aspect, you're having to mix that too. So very, very interesting. Now, is that how you continue to do your business, or have you been, did you shift in your real estate? Did you start working more residential afterwards? Like, what was the progression after that aspect?
Yeah. So when I started having more and more conversations with business owners, I like looking at financials just as the next person. However, with the financials, especially with my target audience was it wasn't a mid-cap companies at all. It was just small business owners. Many of them were solopreneurs. They really didn't truly have a sustainable business outside of themselves. Mm-hmm. So I would find myself consulting with them more from the marketing side, like, hey, there's things that you need to do in your business to be able to sell it. So found myself, instead of moving forward and helping them sell their business, moving backwards in a business consultant standpoint. And it very rarely had to do with operations. It really had to do more with generating business. So that happened far too often. So I ended up working with them from a marketing standpoint. And it just so happened that I was doing residential real estate along the way as well, just with friends at my SOI. I'm very effective with ads, whether that's Facebook, Google, anything like that, prior to finding YouTube. So I ended up doing some consulting from helping business owners. Many of them happen to be real estate agents. So I know all of the financials of the large brokerages here that try to sell. So that's another by accident type of deal. None of this was by design, but I started working with owners and their marketing, their branding, and getting their business jump started, while at the same time I was really, to be honest, jump starting my own from the residential side along the way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So again, things just kind of kept happening as happenstance. You weren't saying, okay, I get a lot of these people who come into the office say, I've got a dream of being a luxury agent or something like that. That
Yeah,
was never the goal. It sounds like you were like,
no.
hey, I like this business aspect. I'm going to help these people. And then things just kept progressing along the way. And from there, knowing you and knowing what we've discussed, you've since grown a team and you've really developed out your systems to actually create this as a full business now for yourself, correct?
100%, 100%. So when you're talking about systems, one of the most exciting parts of building out a system is the ability to replicate your efforts.
Mhm.
So either replicate direct, straight duplication, make improvements along the way. So you're not trading time for whatever it is. If it's time for money, time for somebody else to buy in, training, all that fun stuff. So it was that desire for duplication that ultimately led me to YouTube, which with YouTube, the platform is absolutely free to use, where you create a video, which is a digital representation of yourself. You
Mhm.
upload it to YouTube, and now it's out there working for you.
Yeah.
So that started about almost 4 years now when I started the channel. Ever since then, we've launched over 10 channels in different verticals that are either helping us grow from getting more buyers, getting more sellers, or getting more agents to partner up with us, or just straight doing a affiliate play or sponsorship play where
Right.
companies reach out to us and try to or market with us so we can take advantage of another revenue stream that YouTube offers.
Awesome. And now I know in your background as well, you had a marketing background, especially when you were growing with the pharmacies. So what was it that as you started in like investigating YouTube here and you're growing your business and looking at that, what was it about YouTube that was the most attractive thing to say, you know what, this is the marketing platform that I can see the biggest growth on for your business?
Yeah, so for me, it started more from a workflow perspective. So
Mhm.
I found it very, I mean, just I'm going to keep it PG, but I found it very sexy that I could record a video and explain X, Y, and Z, and then share it with my clients. So
Right.
really a big catalyst to the YouTube from the ground up was when I had to repeat the same thing that I was going to say to one buyer to another
Mhm.
buyer.
Right.
So just that repetition was like, well, there has to be a different way. I know when I go to ask questions, I either go to Google, which ultimately leads me to YouTube. So
Mhm.
YouTube was the source. So I thought, well, if I can really say the same things that I'm going to say to George, and Maria then gets off of work, and these are real names, so hopefully they don't watch this, but they shout out to George and Maria. So they were my star clients that actually helped launch the YouTube part, where I was saying the same thing to George. Well, he worked a different shift than Maria, his wife. So then I thought, had the big brain idea, well, I'm going to tell you this once, we're going to record this, and then we're going to share it with Maria. And I thought, well, if I can do this with two people, why can't I do this with many as they're
Mhm.
coming through? So I recorded a generic video, but then also I got another progression of that idea was, and this isn't new, but it was new to me.
Yeah. Yeah, of
The
course.
next progression was like, well, if I can do this with my clients, well, why can't I use this as a way to get more clients?
Mhm.
And that's ultimately what ended up happening.
Absolutely. Now, one of the biggest things that I get a lot of people that the kickback when it comes to anything social media, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, TikTok, whatever, is the video aspect. You have to put yourself out there on video. What helped you? I mean, maybe you were natural. I don't know. Were you nervous at first about starting to put yourself out there, or was it easy for you? And what was some tricks that you did to get over any nervous feelings that you had?
Yeah, no, great question. So the first 50 videos or so, my face never shows up. So that's tip number one. If you are, it's not that I have a good radio voice, or what do they call it? Like radio, you have a good face for radio.
Face for radio,
Uh,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's me, but I don't even have the greatest voice. So it's squeaky sometimes, it's nasally sometimes, whatever, but it's the voice that I have. So for me, it was just that better done. Done is better than perfect mentality. So, all right, I really don't feel comfortable, and I didn't feel comfortable in front of the camera. So I just thought, well, I don't have to be in front of the camera. My information, my content's going to stand on its own two legs. So the first 50 videos or so didn't have my face on there. But then as I started getting a little bit more comfortable in actually speaking, I thought, well, let's turn on the webcam and share the face with the world. So I never led with video first. I led with audio first, and just showing the content have its own two legs. And then I had the courage to get on camera.
Right. So you had maybe like a slideshow running that you were talking about, or you maybe depicting something, maybe graphs or whatever that you were then just voicing over then.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that. It's funny because I've been told that too. I have the face for radio as well. I mean, everyone always says you should be on radio, forget video, but there's an integral part that there's some power in showing your face as well, right? Because as we build a brand, people want to get to know who they're wanting to work with, right? Or going to be working with. So, what was that final moment? What was that first video where you said, forget it, I'm gonna put my face out there and see what happens? What was that first video, and what was the response that you got on it?
It was very favorable. I'll start there. And I say very favorable at that time, I really wasn't getting views. So when I say very favorable, I mean the 12 people that watched it, they didn't say anything bad. So that's what I mean by very favorable. But the whole catalyst was I need a different, you nailed it. Creating a presentation or screen sharing, for me, it took too much time to where it was, this is just taking me forever. In my mind, taken forever. I thought, well, I can just say it as opposed to show this particular strategy. At that time, I think it wasn't anything platform based that I was trying to communicate. It was just something more abstract that essentially I would need to create a PowerPoint of B-roll, basically, is what the video would have ended up looking like. So I thought, well, let's just go straight into the camera. This concept is something that you really can't transmit via a PowerPoint, nor do you have the time to do that. So let's just go straight to the consumer and speak to them. So I practice. At the time, I didn't know how to edit. So when I turned on the camera, that's what we had.
Yep.
And I was in one shot, not because it was amazing or I'm amazing at that. It's because I didn't know how to edit.
Yeah.
So once it was done, I uploaded it, and the rest took care of itself.
Fired it away. And you said something there that I want to kind of lead to as well. The 12 people that watched it, right? Yeah. Whether it was 12, 20, 15, 2, at the end of the day, I get a lot of kickback to like, I haven't built my channel up yet, so I can't upload videos. But at the same time, you can't build a channel without videos, right? So some people have this conception that you need to have a following so that way you get tons and tons of views, or it needs to be perfect to get those views, or else it's not worth it. What would be your response to someone who's got that mentality?
Yeah. So you're actually if you're in real estate, I'm assuming, I know you are, but in terms of the audience, as abroad, if you're in real estate or any high ticket item per se, so with real estate, you get a client and you close a transaction and boom, there's $20,000. It's a phenomenal business to be in. So I highlight and start there because you don't need 1 million people to watch you. You don't even need 1,000 people to watch you. When people watch your content, let's just say you make a video on what probate is and how to avoid some pitfalls with probate.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need 1 million people to watch. You don't need 50,000 people to watch. You just need one person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people that need that information. So simply by them watching your content, they have self-identified as your lead, because that's just so niched that you're not there for entertainment. You're there for education. So those are the only 2 reasons that people go to YouTube, either to be entertained or to be educated. So I'm here being educated on probate by Cameron, who knows everything about probate. Well, now I trust you, and I'm going to assume that you're the expert because you took the time to share this on video. It took a lot of courage. So now I'm going to call you. And by you making that video, and it only got 12 people to watch, I was one of those 12. That's a phenomenal return on investment of your time, energy, effort. And now you can it with time, it'll continue getting more views. Your viewers will share it with other people that had the same issue. So it's just such a phenomenal machine that built upon itself.
Well, it's the concept of that evergreen content too. If you're out there and you happen to pass by someone who talks about someone passed away and they're dealing with probate, you can then send them that video as well. One, you get another view if they watch it, but two, you're providing that value saying, hey, spend 5 minutes, watch this video, and then if you have any questions, you can call me. Right. So that way, you've picked up the lead, you've got their contact info, you've fired them off the video, and you now can then create that rapport with someone. So you're creating that ability to just educate, even if it's not searched, right? You've got that ability to share that content out. And I think that kind of goes back to what you're saying too with the duplication, right? You filmed it for the client, with the client, sent it to the wife. You can do that with your content afterwards. I know I've got a video that, every once in a while, it's just me literally talking to the camera, talking about the foreclosure process, because in Canada, our foreclosure process is a lot different than in the States. And you guys have those at the court steps kind of tax audits, and I see these people, they're like, oh, I went to this little town and bought a house for $1,000 on my credit card. We don't have that same thing here in Canada, but I get a lot of people who see that and like, I want to do that here. So I created that video, and again, someone says I want to learn foreclosures. First thing I do, send them that video, and then we have the conversation on how they're going to buy that property afterwards, right? So you're creating content that's shareable, that you can literally educate your clients without the extra work on your part, right?
And that is phenomenal. That's a phenomenal example. Even if you get, and here's how it's so incredibly amazing the platform is. Even if you didn't get a client from YouTube, let's just say that wasn't a thing. Let's just say YouTube didn't pay you. Let's just say affiliates weren't a thing. Let's just say sponsored content wasn't a thing. Let's just say that you reaching the masses across the world was not a thing. Even from a time-saving perspective, you would be foolish not to do it. Yeah. Just from a time-saving perspective, I'm not even going to bring in liability in terms of I'm going to get this entire everything down perfect. So this video, now I'm going to share it with you, because down the road, if you decide to sue me because it turns out you never told me about this process or these taxes that were due, well, hey, remember we had that conversation over the phone, and then I sent you this video. It very clearly says in this video that I sent to you, timestamped X, Y, and Z, that this was happening. I mean, that's a liability standpoint, but I'm not even going there. I'm just talking about from a pure time-saving perspective. 100%. You can have more substantive conversations, more specific to the client, and then you can reinforce whatever you talk about for those 15, 30, 2 hours, whatever, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, however long you speak with your clients. You reinforce it with your video. Just from a pure time perspective, you've already won.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, everything in this business, when we're looking at growing, there's only so much time in a day that we have as agents. And if your plan is to continue, like maybe you did 15 transactions last year and you want to do 25 the next year, then 35, and whatever the numbers that you're trying to attain, you're going to find that more and more of your time is being eaten up. So if you can find ways such as what Jaime has said to, systemize that and create content that just literally takes, you're recapturing your own time by not having to explain that thing. And I mean, it could be a video as simple as, what are the standard closing costs that you should expect in your market, right? Yeah. That could be a huge time saver if you're dealing with 35 different buyers in a year, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity. And, one of the things that I do find that there are mistakes. And in fact, you and we sat down and I realized how many mistakes I've been making. If I want to actually, really leverage YouTube, I want to know, what would you say are some of the top mistakes, let's say top 3 or 4 mistakes that most people make when it comes to, hey, I'm going to start doing YouTube. I'm going to try to grow a channel, but at the same time, use it to convert. What are the top mistakes that most people are making?
This one is dangerous because I don't want to give my example, not your question. My example is a little bit dangerous because everybody finds a reason not to get started on something that's unknown, something that's unfamiliar. We're going to look for the but, or no, not for me. We're looking for excuses not to. So I need to be mindful. Yeah. The biggest mistake personally for me that retroactively looking back and moving forward is I really was not critical of my content enough. So I have to be very mindful of that, because I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't look at your content. What I'm saying is that for me, once I recorded it and once I edit it or send it to my editor, I'll look over it once, 2x speed, and then call it good. So what I was failing to do is this product good? So if I look back a year ago, 2 years ago, I recognize that my product was trash.
Right.
In the sense of, like, this calm demeanor that's coming across is a completely different vibe that I was getting. And my comments was telling me that, where I'd be right up and just yelling at your face. But there's so many comments that were saying, I have more stress thanks to this video. And I was like, what a hater. Boom. Throw that. Why are you yelling at the camera? What a hater. So just not having that self-awareness was big for me. But again, I have to preface it with, don't overly do it. We are our worst critic, but sometimes we need to look at our product. Is there improvement that I could make from my audio? Can I stop this humming? Can I stop the lack of focus on this video lens? Can I find a better way to edit? You don't have to do everything. You're not trying to boil the ocean. You're just trying to make incremental steps that that you can improve on every single video. So I'm a big golfer, and I used to be pretty darn good at golf. So the analogy that I make there is, you're not trying to correct your swing with one lesson, with one swing of the club. You're just trying to improve on one thing for that entire round, for that entire practice session. So when I was competing in golf, the one thing that was running through my mind was, I cannot move my head past this when I go on the follow through. So I need to focus on delaying my hips a little bit more so I can control it. So all of this stuff, but I would focus on one thing. That's the one thing that I would encourage everyone to do. Look for ways to improve. Don't look for all the ways to improve, but just some minimal things here and there. You're going to find a drastically different product at the end of it.
Absolutely. I like that. And one of the things that I want to kind of go back to is the hater comments, right? And I think that's where people can get confused, is that what they think might be hate, because again, you're not used to someone saying no to you, right? Your goal is that people are saying yes. That comment is just strictly feedback. Some might be, you might get that hater comment like, oh, just another realtor trying to artificially pump up the market, right? Whatever it is, that's hate. But someone who says, oh, I don't like how it's out of focus or whatever, that's not hate. That's strictly comments that you can use. So you need to actually be active in your comments section and analyze what people are saying, because that is a great way you can improve. Just like if you're in school, you're not going to improve if you don't know what the score is, right? This is your score when you're on YouTube is your comments, right?
Yeah. And Cameron, one of the questions that's going to come up as well, I just started, I don't have comments. Cool. That's great. Go to your competition and see what comments they're getting.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. What comments are they saying? Hey, you skipped over that part. You're going too fast. Slow down. So going to your competition, someone else has already proved the audience for you simply by them making the video and it getting 10,000, 50,000, 1 million views. So they've already proven the audience. You just go to the videos that rank the highest in views, go there, watch the video, see the cadence, see the rhythm that everything was moving, see if they're doing B-roll. What is there music in the background? What does the thumbnail look like? What's the title look like? What's in the description? So take all of those notes. So once you have all that for you, while you're taking those notes, go to the comment section and see what improvements that creator could have made. Right. So if you don't have comments yourself or any views yourself, pay homage to your competition by going and giving them a view. It's just one view in the grand scheme of things, but now you have a semester or an entire year's worth of education under your belt.
Love that. Love that. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up there is that, if you don't have comments, you can go and seek comments, right? Again, if you've got people that you think would like the video or it's geared towards them, send them the video and just say, hey, drop a comment. Let me know what you think are on the video. And you can start developing that as well, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to also start getting some subscribers, start reversing, like Trojan horsing, like, hey, what do you think of this lighting? What do you think of this? What do you think of the content? So everybody wants to give you their opinion,
100%.
Whether good or bad, but everyone wants to have their voice heard. So feed them that, give them that opportunity to give you this time solicited advice as opposed to unsolicited advice. And you're going to get a view out of it. You're going to effectively, your friends, your sphere, and everyone else, that's who you ultimately want to watch your content. So you can I shouldn't say force feed it to them, but you can position it in such a way where you do seek those comments out, you get some additional traction, you get a subscriber, you win every which way by doing that.
And I do like to always tell people, when they're trying to look for feedback, everyone in society, we inherently do want to help. And whether that is criticism or whether it's, positive comments, they're helping in their way, right? And so by going at that route, you're softening the blow too, right? You're not gonna like, hey, watch my video because I just posted on YouTube. You're saying, hey, I'm looking for some feedback. I'm trying this new thing, and I want you to take a look at it. Give me your feedback. And then the reverse could happen too. They could really like the content you're talking about, depending what that content was, and could turn around to spurring them on. Let's say, hypothetically, you're talking about an investment strategy, and this person's been thinking in the back of their mind without you knowing about investing in real estate. Boom, suddenly they're thinking they're helping you, and they can also turn into a lead as well. So there's a subtle ways you can actually utilize that content to actually create leads as well, right?
That is perfect. That is perfect. No, that's exactly the Trojan horse strategy to the T.
Perfect. Excellent. One of the things that we talked about when we were kind of doing an audit of my channel is utilizing your comments to have things that they can get value out of, right? So whether it's a link to download something or to get more information, how would you utilize a strategy with your videos to get that lead conversion in there in a very systematic approach?
Yeah, no. So one of the biggest frustrations with YouTube is that it can be the most isolating platform on the face of this planet, or the most tight-knit community that you could ever build.
Mm-hmm.
So, those are some complete polar opposites. Now, what we want to recognize with our viewers is that they have a decision to make at some point in time if they're going to use us as a real estate agent.
Yeah.
So we all know top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. So basically awareness leads to a little bit of interest, then start vetting out. And eventually they make the decision, I want to buy a house. Now I need to find a real estate agent that can help me, or something to that effect. I want to invest in real estate. Now I need to find the professional that's going to help me. So the decision that the viewer needs to make is, who am I going to select to work with me, or me to work with them for my real estate need, my real estate transaction. So that's really what you, as a content creator, being a business owner first, as an agent, that's really what you're shooting for. Mm-hmm. Meaning, how can I be at the right place at the right time to where I get the call? Right. So some of the videos that help lead you into that is the questions to ask your next real estate agent. If your real estate agent says this, run away, right? So there's a lot of these things that have to do with real estate agent, because there's that decision point. Who do I work with?
Exactly. Yep.
Here's where I answer your question. So not everyone's going to be here. There's going to be less than 3% of your audience will get to this point. Yeah. So this means that there's a lot of preparation, a lot of videos in between, a lot of blogs in between, a lot of neighbors that they talk to in between, a lot of agents that cold call them in between. Mm-hmm. Except you provided them some value along the way in some journey, but they never find your video again. They never find your channel again, whatever. So they forget us. How we get them to not forget us is, we need your contact information so we can do our job that all real estate agents do amazing, right? Following up, being facetious. So we need to get you, we need to get you from being a viewer to being in my CRM. So then I can have a shot of following up, or doing what 99% of us do, is forget. But at least we get your contact information. So that value that we add in between is very important. And how we do that is not by saying, call me for your next real estate transaction. That doesn't work. Call me when you're ready to buy or sell. That also doesn't work. Because again, very few people are ready to make that decision right then and there. So what you're offering in that case is anything that has to do with math wins. So a home affordability calculator. So you're making a video, you're talking about how the market is incredibly hot right now. And, one of the most important things that you need to have the self-awareness of is, how much can I realistically afford? Well, you make the video, you're talking about affordability, you're talking about the prices. and just casually, you just drop a comment. Hey, if you're interested in learning how much you can actually afford in this market, I linked down below a home affordability calculator. Check it out if you're interested, and boom, keep going.
Yeah.
No one's the wiser. So, but down there in the description, going back to your point, in the comment section and also in your description, you have a landing page or a website or an opt-in that in exchange for that home affordability calculator, you're collecting emails, you're collecting phone numbers, you're collecting names, aka you're getting leads. Exactly. That way you don't have to wait for that precise moment that somebody is ready to buy, sell, or invest.
That's excellent. And, I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of I know from myself, a lot of missed opportunities are in that description period. And again, thinking strategically ahead, I like what you said. You plan that out in your video where you just subtly, boom, it's down in the description. Then you make sure you have that linked. So that way it's all together, right? And I think that's where, probably some planning needs to come in advance. So maybe take me through, what does a video plan, like you're thinking about your next video. What does that kind of look like from the stage of, okay, this is the video I want to do. How am I going to execute and how am I going to distribute? What does that kind of process look like?
Yeah. So the most common thing that's going to come up, or say one of the most common questions that comes up, or excuses, concern, whatever you want to call them, is I don't have time. Yeah. Right? You don't have time for anything. You don't have time to work out. You don't have time to eat. You don't have time to breathe. You don't have time to sleep, whatever. We all have that. But with video making, I used to make daily YouTube videos. Oof. In many of those cases, actually 2 or 3. And I did that for 2 years straight. So we got so far ahead in production that I was weeks ahead at times. And it all revolves around one strategy. So if you remember the acronym BOSRED, BOSRED, you're going to be ahead every which way. Whether you're a Hollywood, if you're making a Hollywood video, if you're making a YouTube video, if you're making a tutorial video, if you're making whatever type of video, you have gone through this strategy. You just didn't know. This entire process is the same. B as in boy. So BOSRED, BOSRED. The first one B stands for brainstorm. So you're thinking up of ideas. What should I record about? What am I being asked? What's trending right now? What's happening? O, BOSRED, BOSRED. Now O, optimize. At the optimize stage, you're answering 3 questions. Is there traffic? Meaning, is there demand? What's my thumbnail going to look like? So I need to make sure that I pose for my photo before I record. And then also have an idea of how I'm going to sell this video. Because at the end of the day, every video that you make has a billboard attached to it, which is called a thumbnail.
Right.
It's designed to elicit that click. And then the other thing that you're answering for at the optimize stage is the title. What's the payoff? What are people going to expect when they click on this video? So I need to deliver that. So first you're brainstorming, coming up with 100 ideas. At the optimize stage, you're answering for those 3 questions. If you cannot answer for those 3 questions in a good enough way, those videos that don't make the cut, they die. Yeah. There's no sense in you going through the rest because you're wasting your time. If there's no traffic there, don't make a video. If you can't think of the thumbnail or how to sell this video, probably it's going to be a dud. Don't make that video. If you can't really articulate what you're going to cover in that title, if it's going to be so vague, it doesn't serve your audience, it's just not going to work, don't make that video. So that's the optimize. I like that. S, scripting. You can script everything out if you want, or you can just do bullet points. Some of us need everything written out. Some of us just need a few keyword indicators, and then we can riff.
Yep.
Next step is record. Most people jump to record. And that's where we get frustrated. 100%. You get all these gurus like myself, in air quotes. I know it's a podcast, so just remember air quotes. You get individuals that tell you do video. So you buy a $5,000 camera, a $2,000 mic, and you record, and you get frustrated because I don't know what to say. Yeah. I just look so awkward. Well, of course you look awkward and you don't know what to say because you didn't prep for anything.
And half your videos then,
yeah, 100%. You watch my content, Cameron. How dare you? Yeah. So that's when you're recording. And so again, that's where you're going to end up. That's the 4th step. That's not the first step. That's the 4th step. So BOSRED, BOSRED. Now we get to edit. So the E. That's where you can cut out the uhs. That's when you can cut out the mess ups. That's when you can cut out the cuss words and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
D is distribute. That's when you finally upload. So you can upload. It's a video at the end of the day. We're talking YouTube, but we're talking video basically. Video can go on your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your wherever. You can go on, we're talking YouTube, but of course that's where YouTube, but that's why I put D instead of upload to YouTube, because it's not a YouTube strategy. It's a video marketing strategy.
Yes.
YouTube just happens to be a vehicle that is the best place to house the video, because there's over 2 billion monthly users on YouTube, and you don't have to pay for that exposure.
Absolutely. I really like that. And if you guys have been listening to this podcast, I mean, I just took that as a note down next to me. I'm like, oh, I got to jot this down. Pause this podcast, go back, re-listen to that part again, because I think that I agree. And I've fallen victim going, okay, let's just grab the camera and let's start riffing on something. So I like that. The brainstorm, optimize, and the scripting part is definitely, I think, missing in most people's video process. I know it's been missing on mine, and I think that's the fact that if you can't answer the question that they're going to go and like why they should watch your video, you don't have that thumbnail in mind. It's amazing how many people skip that. I know I just learned a lot just with that thing right there. So guys, take notes of that and start thinking about your content. And I like what you said too, that this is not just for YouTube. This is video marketing, period. Right. And I do think that a lot of times we're strictly Instagram or we're strictly YouTube. There's no reason you can't have multiple. You can take a long form piece of content. Like let's say this video that we're doing right now, we can chunk this up and have, content for Instagram or TikTok. Then you can have a longer form for YouTube. There's so much you can do with video at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So one of the things you mentioned, though, was the $5,000 camera to get started. People think that way. What would you say if you're brand new, you do not have much of a budget, you're a new agent, you're still working on getting that first commission? What's the one piece of tech that you need to start with?
Your phone.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, every time I ask that question to anyone in video, it's your phone. And why is that?
Well, the phone at this point, unless you have a Razor, I don't want to talk to you. No, so unless you have a Razor, whether you're Android or Apple, I'm not here to have that conversation. Yep. Whatever, if you believe one platform or one phone has better camera than the other, who cares? It's both of them are going to have incredible video. The audio may not be the greatest, but it's good enough. So the last thing we need as real estate agents is to become tech professionals. We don't need to know everything about technology. We just need to know what works. And we also don't need other excuses to get started, or any more excuses to not get started. So your phone is a great place to start. Now, when we're talking about upgrading, once you get some practice on how to make a video, how to tell a story, how to edit, how to distribute, how to get your, cut your teeth in video. All right, let's start talking upgrades. Your next upgrade is your audio, because people will forgive you for a blurry image or even not having your face in front of the camera at all. Like I was telling you how we started, but they're not going to forgive you if the audio is just, that's all they heard, they're gone. Right. So that's your next upgrade. So once you have your audio, you're going to upgrade your lighting. So the setting right here, if I turn some flaps around, you're going to have different, I know it's a podcast, but if you're on the video format, the lighting's going to help you out tremendously, and it's not that expensive. Then we get to the video improvement by purchasing a camera. So start with your phone, improve your audio, then your lighting, and then your video. That's the progression.
Love it. Just super simple. And again, I think too many people overcomplicate that aspect, and they and I will be the first to admit it. I started with my phone and then started buying all this random stuff. And now I've got a backpack full of camera gear that I don't touch anymore, because I'm back to honestly, I'm run and gun now. If I'm going to go show a video of a property, I've got a stabilizer, I've got some audio, and like, that's it now. So don't get caught up on all the tech, because you're not a videographer, you're a realtor, right? At the end of the day. And down the road, depending on what direction you want to go, you can then leverage that out and hire people who have that stuff, right?
100%. 100%. The first thing that you're going to hire out, if you will, it's going to be your editing. That's the first thing that you're going to, unless you have, there's two things. There's the design of your thumbnails. Many of us are not many of us live on Canva. Yeah, many of us are not graphic designers. Many of us live on camera because we don't know how to use Photoshop, myself included.
Yep.
But there are more effective uses of your time as a real estate agent. Remember, our gold mine, our ticket is $20,000, and your market's probably $50,000 per transaction. So we cannot, and I say this in the most sincerest way, and I'm speaking to myself here, we cannot move backwards in our business by investing in things that are not conducive to generating this business. I'm saying that in the most respectful way, and I just really sugarcoated it. So your design of your thumbnails, it's going to be $5. Go on Fiverr. Someone's going to do it for you. Editing, pay somebody $20 to $100 to edit your video. It just depends on the complexity, but you are not and should not spend 5 hours making a thumbnail or editing your videos. That is a way that you absolutely go out of business.
100%. And I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we had Amanda Dahl on a previous episode here.
Yeah,
and she
I love
talks
her.
about the thing. Oh, we all love her. She's amazing. She talks about the things that we as realtors actually get paid for. And for sure, editing a video, definitely not what we get paid for. Creating thumbnails, we don't get paid for that. So these are the things that if you're going to go down that route, it's a great, you know, if you want to learn and kind of play with 1 or 2 videos for your own sake, that's fine. But don't go and, you know, create this as a full-time job for yourself, because your job is to go out, set appointments, negotiate contracts, get listings, get buyers, right? That is your actual job. So, you know, be prepared, put a budget against it and leverage it out. And it's probably not as expensive. You know, you said it yourself, go to fiverr.com, $5 a thumbnail. You know, it's not going to break the bank. That's one less Starbucks coffee that week.
100% value your time. I think that you've had such a phenomenal podcast, and you've had some stellar guests, Amanda included, of course. Just everyone that you've had, I'm sure a lot of them are telling your audience to value their time
100%.
because I don't know what it is about us real estate agents. I think that many entrepreneurs have that mindset sometimes where like, well, I don't know where that next commission check's going to come from. I know you're telling me it's going to cost $30 to edit this video, but I could edit it myself. No, of course you can edit it yourself. There's YouTubes out there, YouTube videos that are going to teach you, but do you really want to spend 2 to 3 hours editing something that's going to be watched initially, not always, maybe 3 times?
Yeah, exactly. What's the return on the time at the end of the day?
Exactly. So how are you? That video may not make you money, and chances are that it will.
Yeah.
But that's okay. The next one may. And when we get it right once, $20,000 gets put into our bank account. That's real estate. That's huge.
That's huge. Absolutely. And I mean, if you can find a way to repeat that process after the fact, that's where the leverage kicks into play with things like YouTube and marketing. So yeah, that's what I love. Again, you know, I always respect all my guests' time. You know, we're getting to the end of it here, but there's one question that I always like to ask all of my guests, and it's because, you know, we're entrepreneurs and we're always educating ourselves, and we're typically reading different books or anything like that. So I always like to ask, what's that one book that you've read or listened to that you have found extremely impactful in your life, in your career, anything that you would recommend somebody picks up and reads or listens?
Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins.
All right. And why that book? Tell us about it.
So it was in 2009 is the first book that I read outside of high school. So I was in college at that time. So that book just really spoke to me, and I really started thinking about self-worth, started thinking about mindset, how important it is. Started really seeing these, or breaking down these barriers that I had myself, either through upbringing, through culture, through life experience, whatever. At the end of the day, I was the one that was allowing, I'll pause, I had a phenomenal upbringing, but at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't seen somebody in your community, in your area, like graduate from college, from become an executive out of whatever, being an owner, you just don't know that. So Awaken the Giant Within just opened so many doors in my mind that I still have it right there. It's actually, I'll show you just so you don't think I'm lying.
Yeah, no worries.
look how beaten up it is.
The cover's slipping right off.
Exactly. So it's I have a new one right there, but yeah, it's phenomenal. Oops, there we go, just broke. That's the one.
That's awesome. All right. So Awaken the Giant Within, guys. We will link that in the show notes as well, so you can take a look at that book as well. Jaime, I really appreciate your time today. I think you gave so much amazing value. If you guys were listening to this, listen to it again if you've been thinking about doing video or YouTube as a strategy. He gave so many great pieces of advice just to how to get started and how to create your content. And I do recommend you guys link up with Jaime. He's got great courses that he offers on how to build YouTube channels, how to convert with it. If you want to give a quick plug, I'm totally okay with you doing that. Give a plug for your course and how people can reach you on that.
I appreciate that. Really, just go to my YouTube channel, Jaime Resendiz. There's 1,000 videos there that are going to help you with marketing and build your business. That's it. No, all right, guys. Nothing else. I appreciate the opportunity, though.
Super simple. And we'll also link his YouTube channel in the show notes as well. Jaime, I appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate your time as always. And I look forward to keep chopping it up with you on Clubhouse and other platforms.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. And guys, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget, drop us a review. Let us know what you think about it. And we, of course, will hear you guys on the next episode of the Manning Up on Real Estate podcast. Thanks again, guys.